As businesses and public places continue to reopen, we know that there are a lot of questions about what safety precautions are being taken, and we are talking to some of our experts to find out what you need to be doing at home to make sure that you are taking the right steps to be safe when you're heading back out into the world. And joining me is the Director of Infection Prevention for Rochester Regional Health, Melissa Bronstein. Melissa, thank you so much. And the most recent place to reopen now is outdoor dining, and we're at Pane Vino here in Pittsburgh. These places were flooded over the weekend, restaurants that had reopened. Why is it so much safer outside to be eating, and why should people feel comfortable to come out?
Yeah, so the COVID organism, the virus, the SARS-CoV, is spread through droplets. And so the closer people are together, the more likely it is to be transmitted. So when we can move people out of closed, cramped spaces, not cramped, but even enclosed spaces where they're close together, that's a higher risk. So when we are outside, we have all the wonderful ventilation that helps carry the organism away, and it also gives us the room to be able to spread out and maintain good physical distancing so that we're not sharing the same air, sharing the same organisms.
And you mentioned risk level. That's one of my other questions. We can see that the tables are pretty spread out here at Pane Vino. What should people, some people are still fearful of heading outside, although some of the restrictions are being lifted. Is this risk level fairly low?
Yeah, you know, I'm a big believer that to combat fear, you need information and understanding. And when we understand how the organism is spread, we can prepare ourselves so that we can minimize our risk as much as possible and keep ourselves as safe as possible. So when you come to a place, when you're eating outdoors, you've got that nice ventilation. When you take your mask off to eat, because you got to eat, that's a higher risk moment. So you want to be sure that you're not sitting too close to someone who's not in your bubble, you know, someone that you've been sharing space with. These are good ways that you can safely do things like go out to eat, enjoy the company of your friends, but you just want to do it with the information that will definitely keep you safe.
And I do think that there is maybe some assumptions from people thinking that you can go back out into the world. What do I still need to do now that I'm in phase 2? Do I not need to wear my mask anymore?
You know, people think about wearing a mask as a way to protect yourself, but in fact, the mask does the best job of protecting other people from any organism you might have. So I think it is still important to wear a mask, especially when you're in times where you might come within 6 feet of someone unwittingly. Someone walks past you or sits down next to you or starts talking to you. When you have that mask in place, you know you're doing a favor to your colleague, and they're showing respect for you as well. So I think it is important to still mask. It's still important to maintain good physical distancing between people, again, to minimize that risk.
And you mentioned not only are you protecting yourself, you're wearing it to protect other people as well. So what can the customer or the consumer, wherever they're going, do to make sure that they are practicing safety measures when they are around other people? What do they need to be aware of?
It is possible for it to be spread through contamination of surfaces. So it's a good idea to be sure whenever you're coming in from outdoors, be sure to clean your hands, either washing with soap and water or using a hand rub, alcohol product, at least 60% alcohol. So that's another good way to minimize contamination and also keep your hands away from your face. It can be very tempting to adjust your mask or scratch underneath because it gets itchy. But if you touch your mask, the best thing to do is do hand hygiene again. Use alcohol hand rub or soap and water wash. Keeping hands clean and keeping surfaces clean will also help minimize risk of transmission.
Now, I know we're in speaking with the owner, she talks about some of the safety measures that they've taken here as far as cleaning and sanitizing is concerned. Is there anything that people should have on them when they're leaving the house, coming to a public place? Do they need to keep hand sanitizer or any other items on them when they're going out and about?
Keeping hand sanitizer on you is a good idea. I do it. But the most important thing is to remember that if your hands are contaminated, anything you touch could potentially be contaminated. But the most important thing to be cautious about touching is your face, your eyes, your nose, your mouth. So if nothing else, be sure to clean your hands after you've touched your eyes, nose, or mouth.
Okay. Do you have any other recommendations for people as far as maybe, I don't know, payment? People are, touching different things with credit cards, and any recommendations there when they're paying for food at the restaurant?
Yeah, I would say the most important thing is don't be fearful. Remember that there's nothing horrible about an organism that might be, even if it were on a surface, as long as you're doing hand hygiene after you touch something, the risk is when it gets into your eyes, nose, or mouth. It's not a risk if it's, on the chair until it finds its way to your face. So if you can be very careful about cleaning your hands, that will be the best thing to do. So when I go to a store, for example, and I have to use the credit card machine, after I do what I need to do to pay, I always do use hand sanitizer again before I'm touching something else.
Okay. And I've had my dinner, I'm leaving the restaurant. Is there anything someone should do once they leave, whether it's when they get in their car or when they get home also, just to make sure that they're not further spreading any germs?
When I get home, it is a habit now since February. When I come home from the outdoors, I always wash my hands with soap and water. In the end, it's really those very basic things that we do that helps minimize the spread.
Is there anything else that you think people at home should know before they take those steps to head out and have their first outdoor meal?
You asked what should you have on you, and hand sanitizer I think is a good thing to have. But the most important thing is your mask, and to use good sense and keep social distancing apart from other people, and be kind to other people. We're all doing our best. Some people may not know as much as you do, but they're trying to do what they can, and if we can all help each other, we will get through this as safely as possible.
And we're now on the patio of Pane Vino. We're at the Pittsford location on Monroe Avenue, which opens on Friday. I'm joined by the owner, Renee Spallina, and I know you've been working to get ready for Friday. We are currently standing 6 feet apart, as it looks like most of the tables are on this patio as well, so that's why we're not wearing our masks right now. We're practicing social distancing. As will your customers when they arrive. What do they need to know the first thing when they arrive? Do they need to call ahead? Do they need to make a reservation?
We would like everyone to make a reservation. We feel that it'll keep everybody safer and more socially distant. And we have the tables all planned out, and then as they call with the quantity of people that they have, we'll be able to space it out a little better.
Can you tell us how you've gone about doing that? Did you take some of the tables off of the patio? What was done?
We did. We had to take tables off, and then we had to move them around many times. And I don't know if you could tell, but these are granite top tables. So they don't move that easily. They're quite heavy. But we made sure that everybody would feel comfortable, socially distant, and want to get out because they're dying to get out, but still want them to feel like we've taken our time and made sure the guidelines were all set.
Are there any limits with having large parties and large groups together?
There is. So we have, you could only have up to 10 people in one party.
And just as far as staff is concerned, like I said, everything is spaced out here. What are the protocols? What should people expect to see from staff when they're serving tables?
Well, I have literally almost obsessed with this and made sure that we were going to follow the right protocols and guidelines. And we had all of our staff take Serve Safe course, which was COVID related, just to give them an idea of what they're going to have to do when they come back. And then they will all be masked 24 hours when they are in here. It doesn't matter if there's customers here or not, they will have a mask on when they're in the restaurant. When it first happened, we disinfected everything, and before we open on Friday, we will completely disinfect once again everything.
Disinfecting, party is here, they leave. What happens in between? Is there a cleaning rule in between groups?
Every table will be completely cleaned down with an appropriate disinfectant, and what is normally not the norm is each chair will be wiped down. You know, the back of the chair, the arms of the chair.
Bathrooms, I think, is a common question. People are thinking, I don't want to go out to dinner if I don't know that I have a bathroom that maybe I can use. So what is it that you want people to know about the restrooms?
We're going to have, you're going to be able to go in the restaurant to use the restroom. You're going to go in one door and come out another door, so people will not pass by each other going to and from the restroom. And we're going to make sure we limit it to one person in the bathroom at one time. And then throughout the night, we will go in repeatedly to clean up and disinfect.
Dishware, are you using regular dishware? Will anything look different on the table to the customer?
Outside it will not. We are going to make sure that they are still going to have a fine dining experience. They're going to have real silverware, real glassware, real dishes. And because the dishwasher is so hot and you use the chemicals in it, it really does sanitize. And but once we go inside, it will be a little different because normally we have our table set up beautiful, and we will not have anything but a tablecloth on the table.
Okay.
And when you sit down, then we will bring a roll up of silverware, completely rolled up, and we change out the tablecloth for every single person.
Okay.
So there'll just be nothing on it. No wine glasses, no silverware, nothing. We'll bring it to the table once you sit down.
Now, when customers come to the restaurant, what else do you want them to know as far as what might look different? I know you said you've taken a lot of measures to
Yes.
make sure that they're safe. What do you want to tell them to ensure that that is the fact?
I would like them to know that they can come here and have the Pani Vino experience. Like we say, come home to Pani Vino. However, I've obsessed about this. I can firmly tell you that I have stayed up and read the guidelines over and over and tried to implement as many as possible here. I want them to know when they come here, we are doing everything possible.
Thank you so much for taking the time to join us, and everyone at home, please just be safe as you continue to venture out into the world as more businesses and public places continue to open.